Hallo und herzlich willkommen zurück zu Lamplight City. Wir waren letztes Mal ja hier in der Wohnung des ermordeten Ronan heißt er. Und wir haben die Bücher gelesen, haben dadurch ein Achievement bekommen und haben einen Schlüssel gefunden, um hoffentlich den
Now
Tisch
to find out what
aufzuschreiben.
Mr. Lespay finds so precious.
Okay, wir haben Briefe, ein Tagebuch, eine Teetasse und ein Flaschenschiff. Und ein Abdruck hier.
Aha. A letter from someone called Jimbo?
Ronan, nächste Woche ist ein Jahr her, dass wir uns kennengelernt haben. Ich kann ehrlich behaupten, dass sich mein Leben seither in jeder Beziehung zum Besseren gewendet hat. Und ich werde den 8. Juli immer als besonderen Tag in meinem Herzen tragen. Ich kann es nicht erwarten, dich wiederzusehen, Jimbo. Okay.
Empty save for a nice collection of dust. It's empty. Too bad. A model of the SS Joondalup. Looks like a merchant vessel to me.
Vielleicht war er da mal
This
drauf.
one appears to be from Emily.
Ronan, Gerald und ich werden ins neue Jahr hineinfeiern und würden dich gerne dazu einladen, mitzufeiern. Du kannst gerne jemanden mitbringen. Vor allem natürlich auch eine Freundin, so du eine hast. Alles Liebe, Emily. Okay.
They appear to be a pair of letters from Ronan's landlord.
Okay, 2 Stück. Ronan, bezüglich Ihrer Anfrage, die Bezahlung Ihrer Miete für diesen Monat zu Stunden, möchte ich Ihnen mitteilen, dass ich damit einverstanden bin. Ich gebe Ihnen Zeit bis nächsten Monat. Sie waren immer ein zuverlässiger Mieter und haben pünktlich gezahlt. Machen Sie sich also keine Sorgen. Ich hoffe, dass Ihre Probleme bald lösen können. Danford. Ronan, ich verstehe, dass wir alle mal finanzielle Nöte haben können, aber ich fürchte, dass meine Großzügigkeit enden muss und nicht über 2 Monate hinausgehen kann. Bitte begleichen Sie Ihre Mietrückstände bis dahin, da ich mich sonst gezwungen sehe, rechtliche Schritte gegen Sie einzuleiten. Danford. Okay.
Ooh, this teacup could use a washing. I'd be surprised if it isn't permanently stuck to the desk. Ooh,
Ehrlich?
this tea
Und das
looks like you
Tagebuch.
found Ronan's journal. Perhaps this will be able to give us some more insight into what he was up to before he died.
Ja, mach mir mal...
There are 2 entries, one from this year and one from last.
So, start with last year's.
July 8th, 1843. I've decided I need to get out more, so I'm going to a club in Gascon tonight. Stuffing animals has taken its toll, and I need to talk to someone who isn't Emily or my coworkers. Gerald told me about a place called the Crimson Cat. I'll try it, and if I don't enjoy myself, I'll just come home. Now for this year's entry. July 8th, 1844. Today is our 1-year anniversary. We're going to meet at the Cat again. I love him, but I wish he wasn't so attached to that place. Emily is so nosy, I worry that she might follow me and discover the truth about Jimbo. If we moved around, I wouldn't worry, but with him, it's always the Crimson Cat. I really shouldn't complain, though. What we have is something truly special.
Well, it seems that our best hope of finding this Jimbo character is to visit the Crimson Cat.
Okay. Das war einfach. Können wir noch einen
Let's
zufälligen lesen?
see. October 21st, 1843. The air is growing cold and is reminding me that I need to purchase a new pair of boots for the winter. I don't think this entry will be of much interest. October 21st, 18... I don't think this...
Dann klappen wir es zu. Das heißt, wir haben hier wohl alles erledigt, was wir erledigen können. Hoffe ich. Aber es ist ja schon mal ein bisschen mehr, was wir jetzt haben. Natürlich könnten wir erst dahin. Wir gehen aber erstmal ins Polizeirevier, glaube ich. Die Waffe abgeben.
I was beginning to wonder when you'd show up.
Well, wonder no longer. I'm here and I need to see Dr. Edwards.
Oh, I see how it is. He helped you solve a case, and now you don't have time for us lowly front desk clerks.
That's just the way it goes, Upton. Maybe next time you should pick a nicer coffee house.
Right. You know the way. Snelling isn't in today, so you're all clear.
Well, that's a relief. Thanks, Upton. Can we talk for a moment, Upton?
Certainly. What's on your mind?
You wouldn't happen to know anything about Ronan Lespay, would you?
Probably nothing more than you already know. His body is in the mortuary, and the reason for his murder is unknown. I suggest you speak with Dr. Edwards.
How are things with you?
Better than last week, but plenty of feathers still ruffled around here.
What happened?
you have to ask. Snelling was not happy with you turning up at the Latham crime scene. He was a right inquisition around here. Snelling going around to interrogate everyone, trying to ferret out a leak.
So he suspects.
I'm afraid so. I managed to calm him down some and divert suspicion. He thinks someone on the force is speaking to the Gazette, not to you directly.
Well, that's some kind of relief. I'm sorry you had to go through that.
Oh, don't worry about me. Well, maybe worry about me a little.
Would you happen to have any information on the opium den in Chumley?
I know there is one, but that's about it. The department doesn't have the manpower to bother keeping files on that sort of establishment.
So no idea how one might get inside.
I'm afraid not. Those places are very hush-hush about their activities. They're almost like exclusive high society clubs in their own seedy way.
Interesting observation. I think I'll keep that in mind. That was one hell of an election, wasn't it?
That it was. I don't know how he managed it, but I'm glad Leroy won.
I feel the same. Atwood seemed convinced he had it in the bag.
I think he just grossly underestimated how much the Lygia disaster affected everyone. Thought we could go on like nothing happened. Hell, if Prince Harold hadn't been aboard, we would have. Now, isn't that sad?
I'll let you get back to work.
Okay,
And you'd better do the same.
dann runter zur Leichenhalle.
Assorted lab equipment for setting things on fire or causing explosions. You know, the perfect way to pass the time. Seems to be empty for now. That's most definitely a good thing. Edwards must have some very good friends in the department.
I hope I'm not interrupting anything, Edwards.
Ah, Fordham. Always a pleasure.
Have you got time for some questions?
Of course.
So what can you tell me about Ronan Lespay?
Caucasian male, approximately 27 years old. Died of blood loss as a result of being shot at close range. He was brought in 4 nights ago. I performed the post-mortem the following day. After that, his next of kin was contacted. I believe his sister came to identify the body.
Any personal opinions on what might have happened?
Well, the fact he was shot at such a close range would suggest it was done by someone he knew. And robbery doesn't appear to be a motive, since his wallet was found on the body with money in it. Beyond that, your guess is as good as mine.
Better, I hope.
Did the post-mortem reveal anything?
Quite a few things, actually. Mr. Lespay was extremely inebriated when the shooting took place. There was enough alcohol in his blood to presume he had been drinking for hours before his death. I also managed to remove the bullet from his heart. It's a .36 caliber lead ball, standard revolver shot. It shouldn't be too hard to match to a weapon, provided you can find it.
Ebenfalls habe ich sie.
Did you notice anything unusual about the clothes Mr. Lespay was wearing?
Unusual? Not really. They seemed a bit big for him, but that's all.
His sister seemed convinced that they didn't belong to him.
That's a distinct possibility, but I couldn't say for sure. He could have just been a sloppy dresser.
I found this pistol at the scene of the Lespay crime. Could you take a look and see if it was used to murder him?
It's all slimy. Where was it?
Sitting at the bottom of a storm drain.
Oh, I suppose that's not as exciting as finding it inside someone's intestines. Did I ever tell you about that post-mortem, by the way?
No, I certainly don't want to hear about it now. How long will it take you to analyze that pistol?
I should have something conclusive within the hour, if you don't mind waiting.
No, it'll give me some time to gather my thoughts.
Right, I've concluded my analysis, and this gun was definitely used to shoot Mr. Lespay. The bullet I removed from his body is a perfect match.
Thank you, Edwards. That is extremely helpful.
There's one more thing. I cleaned off some of the muck and found the initials JB etched into the handle.
Interesting.
My expertise with guns is purely forensic, so I can't determine if this is the gun's maker or the initials of its owner. That's going to have to be your job.
Thank you, Edwards. Your help is always appreciated. How's the coroner business?
Things have been pretty dead around here lately.
Don't quit your day job, Edwards. What are your thoughts on the election?
There was an election?
I think our friend Edwards needs to get out a bit more.
I'll be going now, Edwards.
Take care, Fordham. And remember, not everyone gets to leave the morgue alive, so consider yourself lucky that you can.
Okay, das war zumindest etwas hilfreich. Wir haben tatsächlich die Mordwaffe identifiziert. Und,
Hello and welcome to the Gripsome Taxidermy Shop. Please let me know if I can be of service.
Ein bisschen mehr. Einer goldener Schlüssel. Und dass er betrunken war. Was uns wieder auf das Buch über die orientalischen Dings bringt.
Is that supposed to be a lion? I wonder how many people it took to bring down this brute. There's a small button on the base.
Bürgerin auch.
Exotic dead fauna from every other continent. You never even need to leave Vespuccia. That leads into a room with even more dead things. It's such a shame we haven't the time to stick around and explore. Reminds me of the one in the Dupre house, except that one actually looked alive. There's a small button on the base. Just when I thought I'd seen it all. What will they think of next?
Welcome to the Gripsome Taxidermy Shop. Please enjoy our displays and be sure to consider us for all your taxidermy needs. Just a reminder, we stuff animals only.
Okay. Okay. Kann man. Reden wir nochmal mit ihm.
I was wondering if you might answer some questions for me.
Of course. What can I help you with?
Bisschen bleich.
I was told Ronan Lespay works here. Do you know him?
Ronan? Yes, of course. That is to say, I know he works here. I haven't had much interaction with him. He mostly keeps to himself.
Does he have an office or workspace I might have a look at?
Now, wait just a minute. Why would I let some random stranger off the street in to look at an employee's workspace?
Because I'm a private investigator and I'm trying to get some information.
Well, even if that is the case, I'm afraid you're out of luck. Ronan does have a workspace, but it's completely bare. He doesn't keep anything here.
Were you aware that Ronan was murdered 4 nights ago?
I had no idea. That's awful. What happened?
That's what I'm currently trying to find out. Do you know if Ronan had any enemies? Anyone who might want to do him harm?
No. As I said, I didn't speak with him much or know much about him. But now that I think about it, I did notice a strange man waiting around outside the shop a few days ago.
Tell me about this strange man you saw.
At the time, I didn't think much of him, but the more I recall, the more I realize he was being very suspicious.
What did he do?
He just stood outside across the street, but he seemed to be focusing on the building. It was as though he was waiting for someone.
Do you remember what this man looked like?
I didn't get a very good look at him, but I do remember some things. He was tall and had a heavy build, like a boxer or a dock worker. He had a beard, I think, or mutton chops at the very least. And as far as I can recall, he was wearing all black. He also had on some kind of cap. I'm sorry I can't give you a better description, but that's all I was able to distinguish. My eyesight isn't very good, I'm afraid.
It'll have to do. Thank you for your help.
Mehr Hinweise, alles gut.
Anything you can tell me about the shop?
Plenty! This is New Britannia's most sophisticated taxidermy shop. Unlike other taxidermists, we work with modern technology to get results they could only dream of.
What does that mean exactly?
Using steam tech, we are able to create the illusion of life in these beasts. Just take a look at our floor samples. The parrot and gorilla are 2 of our finest works. They really speak for themselves. Well, the parrot does at least. I think it would frighten our customers if the gorilla did too. And once ethericity is harnessed as a viable source of energy, we'll get even better results.
This guy is way too excited about bringing dead things back to life.
Yes, fascinating. Moving on. So how did you get this job?
Oh, it isn't a terribly exciting story, I'm afraid. I just saw an ad in the Gazette for a clerk position. I never expected to learn so much about taxidermy.
I'm sure he's amazing conversation at parties.
Any thoughts on the recent election?
I'd really rather not talk about it. I don't know how the people of this country could put someone like Hart Leroy in charge.
It's obviously because he holds the interests of the common man above all else.
So, you're just like all the other cowards who think steam tech is dangerous. Well, I hope you like the idea of living in the Dark Ages, because that's where Leroy is going to take us.
Perhaps it's best if we drop the subject entirely. Thank you for your help.
I'm here to serve.
Okay. Okay. Ja. Bevor wir mit den ganzen Informationen weitermachen, bedanke ich mich erstmal recht herzlich fürs Zusehen. Klickt gerne aufs Abonnierbättchen und auf die Glocke und schaut doch mal bei Twitch vorbei und lasst da ein Follow da. Ich bedanke mich fürs Zusehen und bis denne. Tschüss.